Alright, we got another traditional knife here in front of the camera. This is a TC Barlow by Grayson Cutlery. This one's a little bit more unique because this is a day's work Barlow. There you go. Sawyer, so on the tube here we have Sawyer Day's Work Barlow, 1095 carbon steel. This is a Tidute Cutlery trim, SFO Charlie Campagna. And on the tube there, on the top of the fence, we have a rooster. And in that little bucket it says chicken feed too. So yeah, this is the day's work Barlow, and we'll see that when we open up the blade. So this is a number 15, 4 for the main blade, or the only blade in this instance, which is a spay blade. 1 single blade, and 13 manufactured in 2013 STL, because this is an all steel knife, and this is in smooth yellow bone for the covers. And so this one is a smooth yellow bone. In this 2013 run of the day's work Barlow, we also had African blackwood, saw cut saddle brown bone, and soup bone, and those were the cover options for this day's work Barlow from 2013. And one way you can actually check that is going on GEC's website and looking at production totals from the year that the blade was manufactured, and as long as you know what the model number is, and you know, if it's a special factory order or one of GEC's, you can look up and figure out which one it was and how many they made. And I think this one, it looks like they had 2 runs of it actually. One was in 47 pieces and one was 50 pieces. So it's not extremely rare, but it's more rare than most GEC's produced, which is the case with all the TC Barlows. So on the back of the tube here, we just have a story that Charlie wrote. So it's the day's work Barlow. And the story kind of just talks about the history, I guess, of the spay blade. I'm not going to read it all, but it talks about the fact that this is a spay blade. So let's take a look. You know, typical number 15, Tom's Choice Barlow. So it's that, you know, small to medium size traditional folder. You know, really nice pocketable size. I think that's why it's so popular. And also just these Tom's Choice Barlows, even though they retail for about the same price of a normal GEC and Tidute or Northfield trim, they end up occasionally selling on the secondary market for 2 to 3 times the price because of how desirable some of the combinations and how rare they are compared to the normal runs of GECs. So this one is in that smooth yellow bone, which we'll take a look here. So it's got a little bit of texture or character to those bone handles. I'm not sure how well the camera's picking it up, but these aren't just straight yellow. There's a little bit of detail in that bone. Let's see if I can get the focus a little bit closer. But yeah, it's not just plain yellow. When you get up close, there's definitely some detail. Just very nice. Really nice fit and finish. I mean, typical GEC, and it seems a lot of times, like with the Tom's Choice Barlows, they seem to get a lot of things right most of the time versus any time to doing anything else with the Tidute trim. I'm not sure why that is, but don't really hear many issues with Tom's Choice Barlow. Now, this is number 15. They've also made Tom's Choice Barlows in the number 14. So this is a little bit larger of the frame. I think this is where they started with the number 15. I think the 14 was made much later. So let's take a look here. Have about a 6 pull, which is expected on a number 15 frame which is the boy's knife frame. So take a look again at the tang stamps here. So Tidute cutlery, made in the USA. Opposite side here. There we go. GEC Titusville Ironworks. 15 for number 15. 4 for the spay blade. 1 for single blade. And 13 for manufactured in 2013. And of course, all these TC Barlows are actually in Tidute trim, except they actually do have lined bolsters. They still have satin blades, they have lined bolsters, also with the TC mark engraved in the bolsters. And they also have an etching, which is usually not typical for Tidute trim. And the etching on this, of course, is, if it will focus, is Day's Work for the Day's Work Barlow. And there's another version of this with the spay blade that they've come out with in the TC Barlow runs, which is called a New Day Barlow. And they both have the rooster on it, they're both spays. And the only difference I've really been able to detect between the two is that the Day's Work has a nail nick on the front of the spay blade, and the New Day Barlow has a long pull that is about, I think, either half or 3/4 up the blade and goes down towards the tang. So I think the main difference is this has a nail nick and the New Day has a long pull. Other than that, they both are spay blades, and I think they have, with the Day's Work, they also offer a version with a secondary blade, but they also have single blades available. So fit and finish is good. Let's just look at the centering here. That's pretty good. I can't really tell if it's off at all, but it looks pretty good. And the backspring termination is very good as well. Everything is done very well with this. Nothing's really catching here. Let's see, fully closed. There's, it's completely flush there. We go to half stop. It's pretty close to flush. It's not completely, but yeah, it's pretty close. And it seems like a lot of times when they do these TC Barlows, it's just great fit and finish. Yeah, and fully open, we're flush again. Really cool. Usually a spay is not a main blade, or even just the only blade. Usually it's a secondary blade, something like, even like on the 38 pruning knife, the John Chapman, you have a hawkbill main and then a spay secondary. And a lot of Congress knives, they have spay secondary blades, but usually it's not a main blade, so this makes it unique. I think that's still very functional though, because look at that, it's in a sense, you would say, the original reverse tanto blade, because you have that little unsharpened part right there, and you have a little bit of belly, and you have a straight edge. So it's kind of like the original reverse tanto, before we started calling it a reverse tanto in the modern knife world. But yeah, this is done really well. It's really unique. I kind of like that it has those smooth yellow bone handles that, I'm not really that big on yellowed handle knives to begin with, but I think that it really fits the theme of this Day's Work. I kind of like either the sun or maybe some eggs. I think it's a neat theme there. Let's take a look here at the length of the blade, because I normally don't have such a long spay blade. So yeah, it's about 2.5 inches. Pretty big spay blade. Overall on this is about, let's see, 6 1/4. And let's just check the weight real quick. Zeroed strand, 2.11 ounces, so very light, as we expect with many traditional knives. And of course, this being the STL, this means that this is all steel. So I believe that it's all 1095. I'm not 100% certain. But normally when you look at the back spring here on a traditional from GEC, you'll have the brass liners. But this is all steel. So you have the steel back spring and steel liners as well between the covers. So you don't have that contrast that you normally would with the brass liners. And instead of these being nickel silver bolsters, I believe they are also 1095 carbon steel, but they're not nickel silver, I believe. Take a look inside there. So it does look a little different from the brass lined nickel silver bolsters that you normally have on a GEC. But I think it looks really nice. It's almost it almost looks seamless because there's no contrast between the backs or the spring and the liners. So it's really neat in that sense. Really unique spade blade. That's really cool. That's only one blade and it's a spay. It's a really big spay. That's really neat. There's no play in this either. As you expect with these elongated Barlow bolsters, these are going to be pretty tough. Not that this one will probably see a lot of hard use, but it's really cool and unique. And with the way that spade blade is, it actually allows for a very, very slim profile. You don't have much blade protruding out of the handle there, which is really cool. So you still get a lot of cutting edge. You get a lot of flat, and you get a little bit of belly there at the end. But it's not like with a sheep's foot. You'd have a lot more blade out here, or Warncliffe you'd have a lot more blade, and then spear point maybe you'd have a little bit, and then with a clip point, of course, you'd have a lot coming out of the handle. But this is really slim, which is really cool. It's a really unique design here at GEC, and yeah, I do kind of want to get my hands on a new day Barlow, because I'm pretty sure the only difference is the pull with the long pull instead of the nail nick. But there are some new day Barlows I'm kind of interested in they have some jigged bone with that. So I definitely want to try to find one of those. They are not the easiest to find on the secondary market, of course. I'm glad I found this one, because I'm not the original owner of it. So that's the video on the number 15 Day's Work Barlow by Great Eastern Cutlery. This is a special factory order again from Charlie Campagna. And feel free to leave any comments down below. Like and subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching.